for a trip to Europe, there is so much planning involved, and it can be really daunting to find a hotel or a B&B in a place that you've never been to. Having great lodging in the right location can improve your trip so much. And I'm a big believer that you can do this yourself without breaking the bank. In this video, I'm gonna break down some tips, tools, and recommendations on how to find awesome and affordable places to stay throughout Europe. Hey guys, Nick here from Away Together. My wife Allie and I have traveled extensively throughout Europe, and through all of our years of European travel, we've gotten pretty decent at finding cool and affordable places to stay. I wanted to make this video to share some of what we've learned. We're gonna cover things like finding the best neighborhoods to stay in, how to choose between an Airbnb and a hotel, and some key tips for you to think through every time you book that will help you save money. Let's dive in. The first suggestion is to go in knowing what your goals are. There are many types of travelers and many types of trips. Your goals, your budget, your itinerary, and what you're interested in doing are all factors at play here. For example, if you're traveling on a shoestring budget and you love meeting people, hostels could be your thing. If you're wanting more of a romantic getaway for a honeymoon or a milestone anniversary, then a fancy hotel could be more your speed. And of course, there's countless other options between those two examples. I've stayed in probably 30 plus Airbnbs, a couple dozen hotels, and several private rooms throughout Europe. Each place we stayed there for a different reason. For example, this simple, affordable farm stay in the Dolomites was because we wanted a laid back and relaxing place to unwind with a picturesque view of the mountains. This hostel in Ljubljana that used to be a former jail was because I thought the concept was really, really cool and we were trying to save some money. This bed and breakfast in the mountains of Croatia was a cool opportunity to meet a local and go truffle hunting with some adorable dogs. This Airbnb in Madrid offered an unbeatable view of Plaza Mayor, one of my favorite squares in all of Europe, and an amazing location for exploring this incredible city. Hotel Lungarno offered 5-star luxury with a front row seat to the Arno River and Florence's famous Ponte Vecchio Bridge. And this was the perfect romantic way for me to pamper my beloved bride on the finale of 6 months of full-time travel. I hope I've painted a good picture here. Different types of properties, different prices, different goals, but all were incredible memories, and each of these places was exactly right, given the circumstances. So as you think through your reasons for why you may choose one place over another, 3 things I want you to keep in mind: budget, travel style, and location. To me, one of the most important aspects of where I choose to stay is location. It's very, very important. An affordable room that's really far off from all the stuff that you want to do can actually end up costing you more if you have to pay for transportation to get there. An amazing room in a boring location without nearby food or coffee shops or authentic local experiences can be a drag. So I recommend spending time researching the best neighborhoods to stay in your particular destination. And the 2 main ways that I do this are through guidebooks and websites. Most guidebooks, if they're a good one for your destination, will definitely spend some time speaking about what part of the city you'll want to spend your time in and where it would be most beneficial to stay. I'll also run Google searches like best neighborhoods to stay in Rome to get 2nd, 3rd, and 4th opinions from blogs and websites. One blog that I'll recommend that I think does a pretty good job here is Santorini Dave. He doesn't do every city, of course, and I can't vouch for all of his recommendations, but generally I like what I see. So just a couple of thoughts from me. If I'm visiting a European city that has an old town and there are a lot of sites that I want to see there, I will typically try to stay in or near the old town. But there are reasons why you wouldn't always want to do this. If you're in a city that gets a lot of tourists, staying near the major tourist sites can be incredibly expensive, especially if you're there during peak season. I also like to try to find those areas that are where the locals go to eat and hang out. So for example, when I'm in a city like Florence or Rome, I tend to end up on the other side of the river, like in Lungarno or Trastevere. I like these areas because they're less touristy, they're more authentic. You tend to see fewer menus in English, if you know what I'm saying. And you can actually save on lodging, typically. Now, I know that this isn't necessarily for everyone. You may like something else, but this is what we like doing. Here's a few different resources and search tools in no particular order. Very briefly, guidebooks. If you have a guidebook, make sure to research the hotel, hostel, and bed and breakfast recommendations they give. This probably only takes 15 to 30 minutes. It can lead to a very authentic experience. I've stayed in countless bed and breakfasts recommended by trusted guides like Rick Steves. Another really great resource is travel influencers. There are a ton of content creators out there who have already been to the place that you're gonna visit and took a lot of time to film it. Some channels that we love here on YouTube, Flying the Nest, The Endless Adventure, Kinging It, and Kara and Nate are all some great ones. Airbnb. I like using Airbnb in Europe because I find it tends to lend itself well to finding an affordable place in the historic heart of the city. With hotels and larger bed and breakfasts, they can't always be right in the middle of the action, but with an Airbnb, usually you're just renting a small apartment or a single room in someone's home. The main way I use Airbnb search is by plugging in my dates and using the map view. I zoom in to the specific neighborhoods I know I want to stay in, and this helps me begin my search. You can even punch in the name of specific landmarks or areas in the search. For example, I loved staying near Campo di Fiore when we visited Rome. When you use Airbnb, I like to display the total price, which includes taxes and fees. And sometimes cleaning fees can be exorbitant, so this is really, really helpful. And note that sometimes you will have to pay a local tax on arrival in cash in certain cities in Europe. And always look for places with reviews. As Airbnb has gotten more popular and more people are using the platform, my criteria for a good review has definitely gotten more strict. For example, I tend not to stay at a place with lower than a 4.8 star rating and fewer than 50 reviews. Hey, if you're getting value out of this video, please consider hitting that like button so YouTube will know to recommend it to more travelers like you. The other tool I like to use is Google. Google Hotels is a powerful tool that allows you to research hotels and compare prices all in one place. Pop in your destination and your dates and use provided filters like reviews, price maximums, amenities, things like if it's got a pool or spa, property type, and even by brand. Once I've locked my filters in, then I'm really getting pinpointed on what's available in the area that I want to stay. My research tends to begin here, but it doesn't end here. This is a research tool primarily, not a booking tool. You can click through on any hotel that you see to book with them directly. I also like to use the hotel loyalty apps of any programs that I have points or free nights with. Now, it's pretty rare for me to recommend that someone go stay in a big chain hotel run by an American corporation on their trip to Europe. I don't go to Europe because I want a familiar experience, if that makes sense. But I do love staying in hotels for free, and usually I can do that through points and miles I've earned through travel rewards credit cards. I will occasionally stay in one of these familiar places. Another really cool thing is that these brands partner with unique local boutique hotels and amazing properties worldwide, like Falisia Resort and Spa in Trieste, Italy. Just gorgeous. They treated us like royalty, and it was amazing. That one is part of the Marriott program, or the 5-star Hotel Lungarno that I was showing you earlier, which is actually partnered with World of Hyatt. So I still like to search these hotel programs, and you can easily do that through their app or on their website. And again, the map search, I think, is the way to go here. Okay, here are some key tips that I've used to save money when booking, and there are things that I think you should think through every time you're doing this type of search. The biggest money-saving tip is to book direct. If the place that you found was mentioned in a guidebook, you should reach out to the property directly via their website or phone number. Typically, these guidebooks will include a referral code for a small discount. If the place that you found is a listing on Airbnb, I always try to take a few minutes to research if they have their own website. For example, sometimes boutique hotels and bed and breakfasts list their individual rooms on Airbnb. And I find that you can sometimes save 10% or more by going to them directly. If you found a place via booking.com, I have found it will almost always save you money in the long run and in general be less of a hassle if you book direct. Now, they won't always have their own site. They may only be listed on booking.com, but it doesn't hurt to take a couple of seconds to research. And don't be afraid to negotiate where it makes sense. Now, don't be rude, okay? Don't go all Pawn Stars on somebody. These people have to make money too.
How about 400?
No, I'll give you 40 bucks.
Can do 40.
I have found that especially if it's a situation where you're traveling during the low season or the shoulder season, the host could maybe work with you a little bit. Or if you're gonna make an extended stay, for like 10 days, 2 weeks, something like that, they could be willing to help you out. Again, be nice. These people have to make money. They may say no, but I'm a believer that it doesn't hurt to ask. And another tip, if you have fallen in love with a place throughout your searches and when you go to book you realize that it's no longer available, you can ask the host if they have any other properties. I've actually lucked out with this approach a couple of times. I hope this helps you save money on lodging on your upcoming trip to Europe. While you're in planning mode, be sure to check out this next video, which will help you avoid common Europe packing mistakes. Thanks for watching. See you next time.